When there is a wedding to plan, there's so many emotions come into play. Now, the couples, most often than not, are very giddy about it as they count down to the D-Day. Now, adrenaline pumps up as families and friends are saddled with the responsibility to plan a very beautiful wedding ceremony. However, no one sees this coming when either the bride or the groom decides to take a U-turn on the D-Day. The most popular question on the lips of almost everyone would be, why now? My name is LILIAN IMONI, and you're watching The Amazons. Welcome back, and if you are just joining us, it's The Amazons, and my name is LILIAN IMONI. I am not alone. I am with my beautiful co-host. She looks amazing and blue. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lillian. You look gorgeous yourself.
No, thank you. All right, remember that you can join the conversation on our social media handles. On Instagram, it's The Amazons Official NG. On YouTube, The Amazons NG. And on Twitter, it's The Amazons NG. And we are talking runaway bride or groom. The discussion floor is now open.
Lillian, the question you want to ask is why at that time?
The last moment, the last minute.
There's been months, some even years of preparation for this day. Why on your way to the altar? Why when your father is holding your hand? My daughter is getting married today. Why is the groom having a sudden change of heart and then he's making the U-turn, like we say? Why is the groom also being begged to continue with the ceremony? You see, when we are making preparations for the wedding, the bride and the groom are the least considered in the whole preparation of activities and everything that is going on. Everybody is so concerned with the social aspect of it, the church, there's this, the that. But
the jollof rice.
Yes. What about the gift? You know, what about the two people concerned? Has anybody truly reassess, you know, study the situation? You see, for that bride who begged her father, looking at the officiating minister, here she is, she knows that, look, once I take another step, that is it. I can turn back. And then, this is my father. Let me just make this decision now. I have toyed with it. I couldn't sleep till this morning. It's still heavy on my heart. Then it means that perhaps this is not the right, it's not right. It's not the right man for you. You are not happy going into this. And quietly say to Daddy, I am sorry. I don't think I can go ahead with this. And I praise the dad, you know, for whatever it is worth. He took it calmly. You can imagine if it was a mother walking hard down the bride.
Emotions will have gone
And then the mother now says to the mother, hey, you know, women, we are dramatic. We think of 1,001 enemies that have, you know, they never wanted my daughter to do this. So we really must put the people, the two people concerned at the center of the preparation, at the center of the conversation, to be doubly sure. Ask them over and over again.
Are you sure? Are you ready?
Are you ready?
I also think there are so many angles to this. I mean, of course, like you said, there's the societal pressure. It might also be that the lady was thinking about the groom's family. Because it's not just about who you marry, the family also matters. Like, is this the family I'm going to spend the rest of my life with? Am I really, really sure I want to spend the rest of my life with this man? Or perhaps the man must have seen something, or perhaps maybe he's even seen the lady's ex in the congregation. I'm like, his ego, she's still in touch with this guy. You know, so many angles to all of this. But of course, we'll discuss more and more, you know, in the course of this conversation with our guests in the studio.
If I have done 10 years courtship with you and you decide to hide an aspect of your character, I will not see it, except I'm very discerning.
It looks like,
break the guy code.
It looks like a whole lot of women can deal with cheating more than men. We are territorial.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Amazons, where today we are talking runaway bride or groom. What can make a bride or groom at the very last second make a U-turn and not go ahead with the wedding? We have two guests joining us who will be telling us what can prompt such reaction from either the bride or the groom. I'll start with Tony CHIEJINA, who is an on-air personality. They see it all, they talk it all. And he's
They know it all.
Yes. And Uche Onunkwo.
Yeah.
She's a writer, she's a journalist, and she's a storyteller. You know, this is not story we are telling here. This happened, reality, right? So Tony, off air, you were just sharing experience with us about how you encountered this scenario. How is that?
I wouldn't say I encountered, almost, basically. So a lot of times, like you said before, a lot of attention is actually put into preparation of the wedding. And you have your family members and your parents and all that in thoughts when you're trying to do that. And it gets to a point you try to dot the T's and dot the I's and cross the T's, and you try to find out, am I really making the right decision? I've been at that point before the marriage where I was thinking, okay, I need to call this off. I need to call this off. I had a lot of calls.
That's your own marriage?
Yes. No, she's not. No. Apart from that, it was just, apart from being mere jittery, you understand? But you needed to have some conviction and all that. But at the end of the day, went through with it and I am happy. But a whole lot of people do not have that ball to go through with it. They probably just want to put a stop to it. Because, for example, you might just end up with someone. At the end of the day, the person could actually change on you. Change is the greatest thing. So when the person switches, how do you manage? And communication, not everyone is good in communicating. So if you cannot find the grounds of, oh, this is what you've been doing that got me at this part, or this is what you've been doing that made me fall in love with you, I want us to, mend ways and all that.
This is what you don't do.
Exactly. So some people can't just have that communication and they just do not trust the personality to be able to have that communication and they just bail.
So for Uche, see, is long courtship a solution to this kind of problems? Because I mean, if you've courted for a period of time, you may have had a time to know if you can really live with this person or not. But if you have not, if your courtship was so short, there are some things that could have come to you blindsided that you may not have seen, that are just so obvious to you, just very close to the wedding date.
I won't say that long courtship gives you some kind of cover. No. Rather, I would say it borders on integrity from both ends. If I have dated you for 3 months alone and you claim you love me and you're committed to what we share, even if we keep discovering ourselves in the course of the marriage, as long as you stay true to me, I stay true to you, we'll even out. Yeah, we'll find the middle ground and we'll work it out. If I have done 10 years courtship with you and you decide to hide an aspect of your character, I will not see it, except I'm very discerning. And we have guys who are very good actors, we have girls who are very good actors. Sure. If they decide to hide this part, you will not see it. It may take you 20 years down the marriage before you realize, oh, this is who this person actually is. And then you're like, damn, how did I get into this? You're thinking of walking out. But that's an aside. I mean, we're talking the D-Day, we're just about to start. And then at that point, this person, like she said, makes a U-turn. What would have prompted that? As varied as a human being are, there are so many factors to inform this kind of change of mind. But let's narrow it down. A lot of people will say betrayal.
Yeah, I was going to come to that to ask,
Yes.
so do you think this is oftentimes impulsive or a product of a planned vendetta? How would you put it?
Not usually planned, but like he said, you build up to this moment and then you're faced with the D-Day. There's a kind of tension the D-Day comes with.
Yes.
At that point, you're now like, okay, I mean, if I'm in now, I'm in. this is the last chance to take a decision. So now let me make the best decision that will work for me. Am I sure I want to go ahead with this? 2 days before, 3 days, you're still caught up in the euphoria of it. But you wake up on that day like, this is the day. Am I sure? And then you begin to do a replay of events that have preceded that day, you know, and then you weigh your pros and cons and decide, this won't work for me. Let me be honest with myself now. After all of the celebration, everybody will go home and I'll be left with this guy. This won't work for me. I'm out. And then there's so many factors. I told you last time, I have a friend who, on the wedding day, she was being dressed up, you know, and then she got a call, like an hour to appearing on the altar. She got a call, excused herself, wore her bathroom slippers, walked away, and didn't come back till about 3 or 4 days after the wedding. I mean, her mother went to the hall. Everybody went to the hall. It was like, what's happening? What's happening? Where is she? Where is she? Phone switched off, blah, 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 blah. She came back 4 or 5, some days after to say, okay, I'm sorry. First of all, she wasn't talking to a lot of people. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Girl, I mean, it was your wedding day. Guests were already seated. Why did you do this? I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk. When she finally got around to talking, what happened? She got a call from her ex, who had been battering her, maltreating her, but she just loved him. And then he called her that day to manipulate her emotions, and she just got confused and couldn't take a decision, so she walked away from it all.
Okay, for that guy, you see, this story now makes me think of that guy in Abuja, the one that the bride was begging, and his reaction alone would tell you that this is, you know, this decision is being taken because of what has happened now.
True.
Now,
Something just happened.
Something
that
just
triggered
happened
that
and
reaction.
triggered
He
it.
was livid,
Yes.
practically livid, like he
Yeah.
was upset.
Something
Like,
triggered the
something
reaction.
Triggered. What would you say can
And
trigger such emotions?
Incidentally, he was riding in the same vehicle as his bride, which
yes, he
isn't
stepped
the
out.
usual practice anyway.
True, true, that's an
I mean,
observation.
let me rough it out now. Is it that a message popped up on her phone
And he
saw
saw,
it, or a call that she tried
had
to
an
code
argument in
or
the
something?
car
But
or something.
it must have been something that happened in the course of riding from
Then
home
there was
to...
a relative of her that was saying, I told you,
I told you.
Yeah, coming from her own, there was a question she popped, is it vendetta?
Yes.
From either the man or the woman. I don't want to pick tense right now, but I would say most times if it's a vendetta, a case of vendetta, it comes from the women. Oh, yeah, a man can't, men are not that deep. We would rather tell you before that time, and this is what it is.
Maybe you should say
a
some.
whole lot, except it just happened right there on the spot. So if it's a vendetta thing, okay, women do that a lot. Now, but where he has to call it off, it has to be something that he can't handle. Sure. And most of the times for men, I don't want to say this, but it looks like
break the guy
it looks
code.
like a whole lot of women can deal with cheating more than men. We are territorial. I can't even imagine
or begin.
And I find out that the person I'm spending my whole life with or whatever it is, by someone I know, it might be someone he knows or something, that's a deal breaker. So he won't wait until that D-Day if it's a vendetta, no. But if it's something that just happened right there and there, he's going to treat it. And men are known to just go for what it is.
Straight up.
And that's it. No
pretense, no hold back, not just deal with it now and let's get it.
Well, it's interesting to know that these men who are the chief cheaters just can't take it. That's just an aside. They can't take it.
Well, I think from research, women have more power to contain. It's not in,
Is that why you guys do
bad.
it?
No. It's just in nature.
Oh, really?
A lot of times you really don't want to do
excuse.
it.
But you know another thing that just crossed my mind? I say when you love someone, there's really nothing that you cannot overlook. There's really nothing. If you truly love the bride or the groom, there's nothing that you cannot forgive. You know, let me use that word. You know, so even at the point of going to the altar, at the point of being riding to go and take these vows, and you find out there's something for her to ride with you, for her to want to go ahead with it, it means that her allegiance is to you more than whatever it is that has triggered this.
It's not always
I beg to differ.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So
you know, it is, except you're referring to blind love, stupid love, if you will excuse that. If I truly love you, and there's something about your character which you are just not willing to address, I don't have to marry you to compensate you. I can help you from a distance change it if you're willing to change it. I first have to ask myself, am I ready and able to put up with this characteristic the rest of my life? I don't have to be in the same house with you to endure that or to help you become better. So it's not a question of love. It's more a question of infatuation. How will I explain to society? It borders more on weakness. Then she goes on with it.
Is this true for you, Tony?
I think I wouldn't say true love is the reason why you want to go into a marriage you're probably not sure of, or take a whole lot of things that you can't deal with. Societal pressure is a whole lot.
Yes, largely so.
In the world before now, we don't use our ears to hear divorce. But I mean, if a relationship or a marriage is sinking you in, you're losing yourself as a person, there's no point. Just walk. So I don't think true love is not that blind. Love is not blind, actually. They say love is blind and all, but you actually have to think.
It is lust and infatuation that are blind.
Yeah, so you have to think.
Yes, allow me to say this, you know, in a lot of cases where women go ahead, young girls go ahead with marriages they know hold no future for them, I would like to play this back on relationships with their parents, mothers more especially. You know, a lot of mothers, things are changing now. Thankfully, our generation is getting better, it's getting more conversational and engaging. But in the past, it's been very difficult to go back to your mother and say, at this point, Mommy, I'm sorry, I can't go. I mean, she'll bring the wall down, first of all. You want to disgrace me before my friends? You want to this, you want to that. The drama she will put up will just discourage you. And then she's not even listening. My child, what exactly is the reason? She's not listening to you. She's attacking you. She's this, that, and you just can't deal with that. So you rather keep silent. But if you had a situation where you had a mother you could always talk to, or a father you could always talk to, as a relationship builds, you have someone to express your doubts to. You have someone to give you a second opinion, an objective opinion, and it will help you take better decisions. And then, so before the D-Day, you already decided if you want to go ahead or not. You know, so
all right.
Relationship.
So this is still the Amazons. We are talking today. The topic is runaway bride, runaway groom. We are trying to just imagine what the reasons can be for you to delay that kind of decision until the very last moment, until the very last second before you know that this is not what you want to do. We will talk some more when we take this short break. We'll be back. Courting is a limitation of time. I'm not spending, we only see when we have a date,
we don't
you come for a sleepover.
Together. So you see, it goes back to saying that marriage is not for children, it's for the mature mind. Definitely.
And also living together, at some point you might still be putting up appearances.
Welcome back to the Amazons, where today we are talking and discussing runaway bride or runaway groom. And we still have our guest with us, Uche Onunko, a writer, a journalist, and a storyteller. And of course, Tony CHIEJINA is also here, an on-air personality. You see, we are just trying to get into the mind of, you know, why these decisions are made. And I also want to, maybe this is also a reason. You know, some marriages are actually arranged. You know, and this is two people being brought together, not out of their own love for each other, but because my parents want there's one parents, you know, they come together, our son and daughter. Could that be
one of the reasons?
One of the reasons why we now have this kind of thing would happen?
I think we've actually touched the crux of the matter, really, where family members and parents pay more attention to their own personal interests.
True.
Leaving out the people involved. Yes, a lot of times you have runaway brides or grooms because their family members or their parents want them to get hooked, to continue a family line or business line or something that is in the interest of their parents, basically. And sometimes you see a groom being forced to marry a girl because he impregnated her. A lot of times. But deep down inside, he really doesn't want to be with her. But because of the child, they can't do otherwise. He has to. So there are diverse reasons, yeah, but a lot of times people pay more attention to their own personal interest and leaving out the two people in question.
Now, Uche, I'd love to ask you this. I've heard of so many women who wish that, you know, they had taken a bold walk on that same day and confronted their reality, but they were too weak to do this. Is this really a sign of weakness, or should we say faith? How would you categorize this?
With all due respect, I'll say, in this regard, a lot of churches scam people. Yes. Yes, because your pastor tells you divorce is frowned at. Your pastor recommends your spouse. And because pastor said it has to be, they go ahead with it. Knowing deep down that this isn't right. But pastor said, and I'm not supposed to question it. So that's the pastor scamming the bride or the groom.
Religion, tradition, you know, moral, society, they really do just set standards for people to, you know, to follow without considering the person. The reason I'm bringing this up, okay, for instance, why can't two people live together for a while?
Yeah, you said that.
To decide and to truly test each other on if we can be husband and wife.
Do we have to carry the test that far? Do I have to live with you first to confirm that? I mean, the process of courting gives me a window into who you are.
Courting is a limitation of time. I'm not spending. We only see when we have a date.
We don't
come for a sleepover.
Together.
But when there's a long period of time of living together, this is me and you living as a couple, even though we are not married yet.
Remember
Do you understand?
also.
Then, there's a place I'm coming from. It gives me the ample time to know your weaknesses, to know your strength, to know your default, to know your, to just know you as a person and as a whole, not in parts. For a period of time. I mean, hygiene, something as little as hygiene can be, it can be a turn-off. If it's hygiene, can I reform? Can I cope with it? If it's something other than that, if it's a habit, if it's a habit, can I reform? Can I cope with it? There are so many other things that are not so obvious during these visits. Come and go, and you are apart for a while. That's the point.
Marriage in itself.
During courtship, a lot of times the man and the woman, they put up appearances. A lot of the time. However, I can't know you in totality for even 5 years. I mean, we evolve, we change, we transform. So most of this time, during courtship, like she rightly said, it will give you some time to know some things. Women are very intuitive, and men, they are very action-driven. So they make their decisions on the spot. It might be just the way the man treats his mother, the way the man treats his sister, the way the man treats his family, or the way the woman handles the catering aspect of the house. These things will form an opinion like, this woman, or this man, can I do this? And they start comparing. Of course, that also happens. And it says, when I was with my ex, she didn't used to have all this drama. When I was with my ex, he used to do this, he used to do that. You start imagining what the future would look like with this kind of person. Do you understand?
So you see, it goes back to saying that marriage is not for children. It's for the mature mind. Definitely. Marriage in itself is a long-term journey of discovery.
True.
You never truly know the other person right down to the last day.
True.
What holds true in this matter is integrity, like I said, honesty. You see, talk about evolving. We will keep evolving.
Sure, we'll keep
I may become a different person in the marriage than I was 10 years, and it's not because I've chosen to be dishonest. I have grown. I have changed. If you choose to live with me, spend 1-2 years with me before you take that decision. Look, A month after we walk down the aisle, I'll shock you.
Yes.
There is no foolproof here. I'll shock you. Yeah. So the courtship only just allows you an average assessment of the person. So based on this, that, I'll yet see other things in this relationship that may not go down well with me. How will I be able to take it? You have a fair assessment of this person. At least he tries. He's willing to always improve and change, so I can delve into that.
Living together, unguarded moments can just spot out. You know, they can surface anytime.
Still, if we chose to live together.
I like to hear from Tony because he's been quiet and just listening.
I'm just allowing people to talk.
Allowing the ladies.
Actually, I would sit on the fence on this because there's no amount of courtship time that guarantees that you know a person so long. And also living together, at some point, you might still be putting up appearances. The moment you put pen to paper, a different personality comes up. Especially pen to paper in a court marriage. You understand you have this to gain. You understand you have this to take, to lose, and all that. Different personalities come up. In the Western world, they practice cohabiting. After Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, they did that for a lot of years. Immediately, they made it formal. What happened? That's because change is constant, and for some certain reasons, putting pen to paper gives you an idea that, okay, this is what it is, this is what it is. But in Nigeria, where we are, we're not allowed to delve into that angle of cohabiting. I don't think it's a bad thing, but humans can actually act.
I think we'll continue this conversation off air. It will be more fun.
Go to our social media handles.
Our social media handles on Instagram, it's the Amazons Official NG, and on YouTube, it's the Amazons NG. On Twitter, it's the Amazons NG. Stay connected with us. Until next week, we'll be in your faces again with such wonderful conversations. My name is LILIAN IMONI.
Thank you so much for coming, Uche and Tony. Thank you very much. I'm Aisha Falode. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.